Welcome to Teaching Artistry with Courtney J. Body. That's me. This is a podcast that celebrates artists and advocates for community engagement. And like you, I'm home and looking to connect as best I can. And so we've launched this video series with Creative Generation to talk to guests who are creatives making and sharing art, or they're guiding others to make and share art. And with Creative Generation, who's helped us put this together, we're super excited to have you all. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, follow us on all the social media platforms. You've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, and you've got the Instagram. We're on all of them. Eh? Okay, great. So let's get to our guest. Help me welcome Preeti Vasudevan. Hi, Preeti.
Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Great. Really great. Tell me, how are you and your family doing during this time of COVID-19?
Wow, I feel like we're the biggest roller coaster. You know, some of them are thrilling rides, and some of them we throw our arms up in the air and we scream. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling exactly the same, actually. Can you help us understand what kind of artist you are?
So I am a performing artist. I do dance and theater, and storytelling is my forte. So I specialized as a classical Indian dancer growing up in India. And then since the early 2000s, I started my own company here called Thresh, as no threshold, and we create experimental dance theater pieces that's based on identity, how we juggle between our contemporary lives and our heritage cultures.
Yeah, and I was introduced to you and your work a few years ago through Victory Dance at the New Victory Theater, as well as you're a Labworks artist, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, New Victory Theater is it's like home to me. It's like a second home. And when I'm not there, I just so miss everybody there. So I'm one of the alumni. You know, I'm the esteemed alum group of the Labworks residency artists. And we had a fantastic time developing and creating new works over there.
And what were you working on?
We were working, and we still continue to work right now on it, a musical theater piece called Drumming a Dream. And it's taken from an Indian folk tale about, and it's of course inspired by it, so we're building a brand new script. So it's about a young girl, maybe around 10 or 11, who dreams of a talking drum, and she goes into like the rabbit hole, she goes chasing after it. And so she enters a fantastical land to solve problems with her group and then come back with the drum or the meaning of the drum.
Cool. Shall we look at a clip?
Yeah. I think you should take what you will look at the clip is me explaining a little bit, some wonderful artists who were part of it, and you'll hear some of how we brought music together.
Okay. Yeah.
Drumming a Dream is a theatrical production. It's really an extravaganza. It's about a celebration of life in its entirety. It's a coming-of-age story where teenagers go through so many questions of life and they make very important choices that take them forward. And through this journey, they understand the importance of living life to its fullest. It builds empathy, kindness, curiosity, facing adventures, challenges, and deep reflection all at once. We work with classical Indian dance, Bharatanatyam, and Carnatic music, which is classical South Indian music, as our foundation, over which we texture and layer other forms of dance and music. I found that the drum is a universal message, a symbol of all of us that represents humanity. And the drum is the first rhythm, and rhythms are in all the cultures. So I wanted to explore the story, and through a very diverse group of actors, dancers, and musicians, I wanted to talk about the curiosity that is in the young people that should not be diminished, should be enhanced and encouraged, because out of that comes kindness and empathy and an exchange of ideas. We have a cast of between 8 and 10 artists, which includes actors, musical theatre people, dancers, and musicians. The initial work for Drumming a Dream was developed at the New Victory Theatre on 42nd Street in New York. This coming year, we want to develop it in phases, showcase it, raise funds for it, and hopefully pitch and get producers to realize it. We would like to take it into a development lab and see how we can bring both tradition and modernity into one platform to express what today's youth are looking at.
Nice. Wow. I remember you talking about it in one of our full staff, but I hadn't seen any of it. So thanks for sharing that. Um, so so it's, to me, it's always exciting to see things that pieces of work that are in progress. Where is it at this moment, and where, what will happen, do you think, in the future for it?
Oh my God.
Or
Right now, everything is like upside down, just like the script is, because in the script, she enters a land of fantasy. And I think we're there right now in the surreal world. Just looking at that video, I'm tearing up because I've so missed the studio.
Yeah.
That to me is like real, like feeling the floor and the sweat and just the breathing. I just feel like that's the living, that's the liveness of performing arts. So here right now we are building the script, talking with a dramaturg and just, creating it, unfurling it. And then the next step will be to have a reading, and then probably to sort of, when everything else opens up, to have like the cast come in and have some readings, bring in some producers and some commissioners and co-producers. I would love for this to be, have the 42nd Street and the New Victory Theatre to be very involved in this, because after all, this was the baby there. So I wanted to be part of that journey, and New Victory Theatre understands like youth and children so well. And we got so nurtured over there, so it's like, finding the right partners, right relationships. Right now, us being in our homes is a great way to sort of talk about this with people.
Mm.
But I still feel it's a bit early because nobody knows when what's opening, and when we open, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to envision it as like a second possibility. Like if A doesn't happen, how can B happen? So we had to think of it that way too.
Right. And as a cultural organization, Thresh, what are you all able to do in this moment? I've talked to a few people who have talked about this needing to stay home and physically distancing, as if we could look at it as the gift of time. And then because we're creative, we're creating different things. For me, it's this podcast and the video cast. And so what are you all working on or able to work on?
Well, actually, the whole coronavirus and the pandemic initiated something very quickly for us, which is we do a lot of social impact work, and we have a whole virtual website where we talk about dancing. And then we realized that one of the things that connects all of us globally are stories. We love stories, old, new, like even right now, we're storytelling to each other, and it always changes people for the better. So we thought we'd build a website which shares stories. This one, especially coming from the Indian subcontinent, because that's home for me, but then it can branch into something more universal. I brought in a lot of different collaborators, composers, illustrators, story researchers, and we've created now, it's our third week running, so we're still like babies, of releasing a new story every Wednesday. It's called the Red Curtain Project. And each story is thematic, so the 3 stories that form a series. Our first series now is from Buddhism, about compassion, and it's about animals outwitting humans, which is, I think, what's happening to us now. No. So the first story we created is called The Clever Antelope. It's about how, a clever antelope outwits a hunter. It's all ages friendly. So we just think that everybody's at home with families, and before we're all like zoomed out or zombied out and all of that, something fun is good to see how artists come together to create something. Like what happens, what you don't see backstage, you know? And also, we made it interactive. So we want you to tell stories. Like, you know, we're giving you tools as storytellers and saying, okay, you're equally capable of being storytellers. Why don't you roll up your sleeves and you send us back a story? So we're hoping that with enough, like, you know, publicity or people liking it, we would get people just recording at home. It doesn't have to be professional, just being inspired and then sharing a story so that we can create a library of storytellers from around the world who've been inspired by the kind of storytelling.
Yeah. Well, I learned about this because I think it was shared on Facebook and somebody tagged me and I was like, well, I know Preeti, I know Thresh, and what a great project, one, but what a great opportunity for people to at home to be creative. And like you said, it doesn't need to be professional. It really is that we are all creative. We are all storytellers, and find your way to share. So I love that invitation that you made.
Thank you.
And have you received anything yet?
Slowly. I mean, I think people are camera shy, even though people don't care about Instagram or Facebook. When something professional comes your way, I found that people are actually quite shy, saying, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like coaxing people to actually say, look, what we want is what you're at home. And you can't go to the store to buy paper and glue and things like that. So our bodies are our instruments. Our bodies are our tools. You know, we all speak with our hands and our faces. So use them and don't feel shy. And there's no right or wrong, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would love to show the full story of the clever antelope, or as I like to say, antelope.
I like that.
Because I think it serves as a great model for how you don't need much to tell a story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen again. This is me being technical.
You're not alone.
In a forest near Varanasi, there lived an antelope, which was very fond of the fruits of a particular tree. In a village nearby lived a hunter who knew this. I must get him today, thought the hunter. Early that morning, the hunter went to the jungle and saw the antelope's footprints. He is a big animal. I will get quite some money by selling his meat. The hunter put up a platform on the tree and waited for the antelope. He should be here any minute. As usual, the antelope came strolling along. Just thinking of that fruit makes me hungry. But he was a clever antelope and never missed a thing. Hey, a man's footprint. There must be a hunter nearby waiting to kill me, he thought. And he looked around. Meanwhile, the hunter was wondering why the antelope wasn't coming towards the tree. Why doesn't he come near? I shall try throwing some fruit to him. Maybe that will lure him to the tree. Someone up that tree, thought the antelope. The fruit is being thrown to me, it isn't dropping as it usually does. I see. He's hiding up there, is he? Up on the tree. I'll pretend to talk to the tree and see what happens. Oh, tree! Listen, tree. You have always dropped your fruit on the earth for me. Why do you throw it at me today? No answer. So the hunter thinks he is smart, does he? And so, tree, since you have stopped behaving like a normal tree, I too will behave differently. I shall eat elsewhere, said the deer. On hearing this, the hunter knew he had lost his chance, and in a fit of rage, threw his spear at the antelope. And missed him. Too bad, hunter, said the antelope, and ran away from the tree, saying, better luck next time.
I love that. You know what I saw in that? I don't know if you know anything about what's it called, ASL poetry, or like there's just so there's a lot of universality in there. ASL, um, what reminded me in the piece to ASL poetry is the fact that your hand articulation is so strong, and that's often how ASL is all
Right.
mainly spoken through hand gestures, but it's also face gestures, and this going back and forth between the whole body and being able to sort of create images with your hands and arms and forearms. So that's what I was seeing, and I loved how you turn around so you can help us understand it's a new character.
Yes, yes. Yep. I mean, ASL is a great example. But ASL poetry, though, fantastic. Um, I remember seeing a bunch of people in the subway once communicating through ASL, and they were laughing so loudly that I couldn't hear anything
Mm,
because it was all through sign language and their facial expression.
yeah,
And it was just marvelous. I was completely intrigued and taken in.
yeah. I've had the fortune of working in a school that uh, where students are deaf and hard of hearing, and mainly people communicate through ASL. And so I've had to learn. I'm not fluent in any way, but it's really amazing to see how that way of communicating lends itself beautifully to theater, physical theater, and performing, because they have to be so expressive in life. Anyway, I just thought how expressive you were, and what a great, is that a fable or is it a story?
It's a folktale from the Jataka
Okay.
tales. It's from they're all Buddhist tales from a long time ago, back in the
Mm,
BCs. But they're all to inform humanity about the intelligence of animals and nature.
mm, yeah, and so what I'd love to be able to do is, obviously when this episode comes out, we'll make sure that there's a link to this work, and I hope that there are some submissions that you have. But I'm
Yeah.
also going to say, if anybody's watching this now, think about it. Think about submitting to Thresh a clip of a story that you tell through body, shape, movement, um, whatever you have that is inherently in your home.
Yeah, and I want to add to that that the story doesn't have to be Indian.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
it can be a story you actually write. You know, it can be your own story, your own tale.
Great. So it could be a story that already exists
Yeah.
or an original story. I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. I also saw puppetry in there.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have any ability to make things, this is I'm diving the first thing I can, but like,
Yes. Yes.
assets, little object stories. So as I mean, I'm just really floored by the the complexity to which you are asking for such a simple thing, but also that a simple thing can be beautifully complex in terms of how it moves folks
Mhm.
or its audience. So thank you for doing that work,
Thank you.
and I'm here to support it.
Thank you. It's been
um,
an amazing journey with the collaborators. They've been extremely generous people who are great artists, very creative, and we're all in our homes. You know, I send something to Mal, for the composer for the story. He sends something back to me. We talk to the illustrator, and so with every story, we are also learning different ways of collaborating. So one of the things is for people to see and understand what it takes and how we exchange ideas. And while we have fun, we're also problem solving. So
mm.
I just feel that's so important with the arts.
Yes, agreed. And I was thinking about that collaboration, that problem solving. We are in a health crisis that hopefully is coming to the crisis part is coming to a decline. But we are going to feel the ramifications of this moment for a while. And my question is, in terms of problem solving, how do we, or have you yourself as a an artist yourself, but also one who employs and works with other artists, have you thought about what we could be doing to mobilize, to problem solve, to support the creativity of others in sharing of what we can create, but also in other, the general public and the community to be able to create and have that kind of hope in their lives in the midst of what can feel, I'm sure, quite hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, I think every artist has their own approach to creativity and how this time period has impacted them and what they might come out with. But I think the bottom line is, there's a big word that keeps coming back to me: the notion of trust.
Mm,
How do we trust ourselves during this time? How do we trust our most intimate relationships? How do we trust the larger community? And how do we trust us when the doors open to go out and form a new relationship with our outer world, which is nature?
mm,
And I think to find that harmony, I think there's a very deep trust that we had to locate within ourselves. And I think art is a very direct route to that, because it's the closest. I mean, it is who we are. They say you can never lie with art. It tells you.
mhm,
You can only so far hide behind it, but then you have to reveal yourself. So I think there's a call for honesty, and I think that honesty can be very human, and it can reach out beyond theaters and beyond regular ways that we see where art should be, and bring everybody into our fold. Because without arts, really, we're losing the human soul. We may as well just be automated and be robots.
mhm.
But whenever anybody's down, it's the arts we turn to, no matter what kind of art it is. So I think, I really think this is a golden opportunity to form very healthy partnerships in how do we integrate and bring creative problem solving through the arts, right down from like very young kids in schools all the way up to corporate entities. Because that is what I think is missing, is soul food. And I think arts is soul food. I mean, literally soul food.
Yeah.
um, I think this is an amazing silver lining for all of us to rethink how not to endanger each other, but to actually look at how we can thrive by integrating from the very first stitch.
Oh, what a metaphor. What a beautiful metaphor. Let's integrate from the very first stitch. Oh, Preeti. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being our guest and for making me think and feel today.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. And remember, we're also a podcast, so you can follow the podcast, which has other content, but we'll also be posting these conversations on the video cast there in future. So we are on SoundCloud. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts. And remember, keep making art.